New deals for retirees in Detroit's bankruptcy. Also coming up tonight, how would you grade the education system in Michigan? And it's not often you get to hang out with a Pulitzer Prize winner. It's analysis of news across the state of Michigan. MiWeek starts right now.
Recently, Michigan's economy has begun to turn around. Michigan's gained over 250,000 new jobs. We've paid off $20 billion in long-term debt. And our population is increasing for the first time in a decade. But to make Michigan a top 10 state, there's still plenty of work to be done. Step up and help put Michigan on top. Learn what you can do at MichiganTurnaroundPlan.com.
Funding is also provided by Delta.
Hi there and welcome to MiWeek. We are so glad that you are with us tonight. I'm Christy McDonald. A new deal for retirees in Detroit's bankruptcy that is a game changer. We're going to take a look at how this potential deal changes the bankruptcy timeline, the grand bargain, and what this move shows other cities with long-term obligations. Also coming up for you tonight, a new report on the state of education in Michigan, how our students stack up across the country, what we're doing well in, and what needs to change. And it is not often you get to hang around with the Pulitzer Prize winner. It's the headline of the week coming up for you. But we do start tonight with a deal for pensioners in Detroit. The board of the General Retirement System endorsed the offer of a 4.5% cut this week. That is a far cry from the initial offer of cutting pensions by 34%. Police and fire, well, they fared even better. No cuts to their pensions, but they'll have a freeze on the cost of living adjustment. The judge is now looking at this revised plan, and while more details have to be settled, it looks like the biggest sticking points have been pretty much hashed out, which makes way for that grand bargain. How Detroit comes out of this affects all of us in the state. We are going to start there tonight with Nolan Finley, the editorial page editor of the Detroit News, and Stephen Henderson, editorial page editor of the Detroit Free Press, and this week winner of the Pulitzer Prize for commentary. Oh my gosh, Stephen, congratulations. We have to start off there. We are going to talk about it a little later on in the show, but hats off to you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. My head's still spinning, but whatever. I'll figure it out. I'll figure out what it all means.
Well, now, Nolan and I are expecting some really good commentary tonight. I mean,
yeah, right.
We're going to have to...
Right. That's all it means. It's just people's expectations are just higher.
We're going to raise the bar. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. This has been a very active week for the bankruptcy. I feel that we've had kind of these, these ebbs and flows, but it's coming to a head now, Nolan.
Well, it's been startling last few days if you look at how things have shifted. The retirees, as you said, have gone from taking what would have been really steep cuts to almost no cuts. You've got, except in their health care, the creditors even, you went from 15 to 20 cents on the dollar, now up to 74 cents on the dollar. Makes you wonder where all of this money is coming from. And it appears to be a whole lot of accounting gimmicks in part and, money from the state and federal government.
Okay, so where is all the money coming from, and what do you mean? What does Nolan mean when he's saying accounting gimmicks? Explain this to people.
Well, I mean, if you can get money from one pot and put it in another, you can claim that second pot is whole, or more whole than it was, and you don't have to necessarily look at that other pot that you've taken it out of. And there's some of that going on here with some of the things that they're discussing. I mean, this idea that you might take money that is intended for blight, federal money that's intended for blight all over the state, and send more of it to Detroit to displace the money that we were going to use on blight so that we could put it into pensions. You're still shorting somebody somewhere.
They're also adjusting the rate of return projections. A simple little adjustment moving from 6.25% a year projections on the rate of return to 6.75, and voila, a whole big pile of debt is wiped out.
Right.
And
it
makes you wonder from what is the real debt number? I mean, what do we really owe?
Well, that's the, so I mean, public pensions in general tend to do very well on their returns. It's between 7 and 8%. So we're still below that, even with this adjustment.
And that's probably prudent.
And that's right. I mean, at 6.75, you're going to eliminate 90% of the risk that the pension boards were taking before at 8%, which is where they were, and that's how they got themselves into such trouble.
And yet we've been going through this kabuki dance now for 9 months where they're asking, telling pensioners we're going to take all of this money from
Yeah,
you and this.
yeah.
But they did get some significant sacrifices from the pensioners in terms of health care being drastically reduced. In terms of the general retirement system, they don't get their annual step increases
Right.
any longer. So, I mean, they didn't walk out whole, but they certainly didn't walk out the way that.
Well, it was much better than anyone had ever projected, even when we were starting to talk about this process. How important is it, Stephen, that you've got the general retirement system, that they have endorsed this, and now police and fire are going to be voting on this tomorrow? What does this mean for the entire process? Because this was really the main, not the main sticking point, but I think the biggest focus that everyone had in the bankruptcy process.
I think it was the last real hurdle that existed. I mean, the pensioners are the most vulnerable and sympathetic class among the creditors. I mean, these are people who are making very little money, and any adjustment to that would hurt them in a way that a couple $1 million for a bank is different. It's not, that doesn't mean that the bank should just get nothing, but I mean I think you really do want to take very good care of the most vulnerable people. So what was going to happen to them, I think, was the major sticking point in this whole deal. I would never have supported a deal that would have crushed pensioners. I mean, I just think that's unconscionable, and there is a moral issue with that. I think Judge Rhodes, frankly, probably has that same concern. And so moving from 24 cents or 34 cents cut to 4 cents and no cut, that is huge. I mean, that really dislodges the principal moral question in this whole issue.
But the other question is what happens now in the future? And these funds were really badly managed. They didn't get in this situation entirely by circumstances.
No,
they made
absolutely.
bad choices, bad decisions, and now there's going to be an investment advisory board in place. We don't know the details of that, but we do know they're going to have final say on every investment this board makes. Because if you simply wipe away the debt and then let them go back to the same old practices, you're going to be here again in 5 years.
and it's not just that they made bad investments, which they did. I mean, you look around the city of Detroit at the real estate investments they've made; they've not gotten a penny back on even the ones that we would say are good projects. The book Cadillac owes a lot of money into the pensions, but it was also the practices of managing the pensions. The 13th checks that were handed out for years, the annuities where people put 4% of their pay into an annuity, but were guaranteed an 8% return. Wonderful numbers, but you got to pay for that. You talk about those kinds of things. These COLAs, they call them cost of living adjustments, but they're built-in increases, regardless of inflation or CPI or the investment performance. These are the kind of things that dug this hole, and you have got to get them to stop doing that. And they came in to see both Nolan and I last week separately at editorial board meetings. They aren't even at the point of acknowledging that these were bad ideas.
They're not. How can they not be at that point?
I mean, because they still have this attitude that all of this was promised and all of this, they're entitled to all this. But just as an example, they brought in a retiree with them representing the retirees of their system, and she was about 45, and that's one of the, or she appeared that, but that's one of the problems here is you've got people work for the city 20 years, retire in their 40s, and now another 40 years of collecting benefits, particularly health care. I mean, that was particularly burdensome for the city to keep 50 and 55-year-old people on city health benefits for their whole lives.
So what is the solution then? Change what the promise is?
Well, you absolutely have to do that. They've solved the health care thing with these VIVAs. I'm not quite sure how those are going to work.
Well, I think it'll be like the auto VIVAs. They will give some sort of lump sum to the unions and say, this is your payout. You manage everybody's health care going forward. that's an idea that I remember being floated a couple years ago. Everyone said, no, we could never do it. Now it resurfaced this week.
Well, you can do it now because you can afford to bond to fund it. Where before you couldn't bond to fund it.
Let me ask this. What does this potential agreement show other cities who are in financial turmoil that have the long-term obligations? What do they take from this or see, hey, if our city ends up bankrupt down the line, what can we expect and what can our pensioners expect?
You know, it's been relatively painless, hasn't it? I mean,
I think, yeah. I mean, I think this shows. I think this shows that you don't have to crush the most vulnerable people in this process to make it work. You know, the city has a lot of deep financial problems, and they got to get solved. I don't think you do it on the backs of people who are the worst off.
No, but they do have the luxury of having the grand bargain out there, and I say luxury because we're operating under the assumption that now, since a lot of these pieces are falling into place, that grand bargain will start to work and the legislature will come forward and give up the $350 million.
Yeah.
And
that's a key change, Christy.
That is the key.
This week they went from $350 million over
20 years
to $350 million up front, and that. You know, that's going to be a tough sell to the legislature. They'll obviously not be able to take it out of the general fund. They'll have to sell bonds. I think it's a more sensible way to do it because it removes it from the annual budget fight, and it protects it in case things go south again with our tax revenues.
But $350 million that you bond for over 30 years is more like $475 million in total cost, and maybe even more of that. So now you're talking about a bigger commitment from the state, and you're also talking about doing that at a time when you know, you can go drive any highway in this state and come across a city that has the exact same problem.
Well, speaking driving the highways, you're now going to bond out $450 million to bail out Detroit instead of fixing everybody's
the roads.
I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's going to be a tough sell.
Well, and then you're going to have people saying, okay, if we're in trouble now 5 years down the road, where's ours? Where's our grand bargain? Where's our money from the legislature? Where's our money from the federal government? If the Obama administration is talking about kind of shifting around that $100 million, have you set up in making sure that Detroit gets out of this? Have we set up a dangerous precedent going down the line that, gosh, we can't afford to bail everybody out?
Well, you might have, but you know, you also might have really sent a shock through the municipal bond markets, the people who loan communities money, because they're the only one getting shorted here for the most part. And this idea of shared sacrifice goes out the window, and it may make everybody's borrowing costs go higher.
All right, before we wrap up this topic, and the judge is going to be looking at the revised plan today, I guess I want to look at the long term. Does this make Detroit whole? So even if we come out of bankruptcy, if this timeline speeds up, so we're done in October, which I think is still just staggering that we would be able to get through it in that timeline, does this ensure that wiping out the debt for Detroit, that the city is able to not only just pay its bills, but reinvest back in the city the amount of money that they need to make it a functioning, not only functioning city, but a city that's going to draw people in? Because isn't that really the bottom line that we're talking about here?
Won't do all that.
I don't think it can do all that.
Some of that. Yeah. It frees up about $150 million a year.
I think that's
to put into services, to put in making the city better. We now suddenly have the attention of Washington, so we're getting federal dollars that we hadn't been getting for decades here. And so that's going to help. I think overall things will get better, at least for the short term, unless they start ladling on a lot more debt again. But long term, the only way to bring Detroit back is to grow the city. You have to have more people and a stronger tax base.
Does this put us in place to do it, Stephen, or at least have a better shot at it than we've had before?
I think it gives us a shot at providing basic services at a decent level, right? We'll have enough money to get the lights on. I think police response and presence will be noticeably improved. Fire response, garbage pickup, which recently got bid out to a private contractor, I think will be better. It doesn't do much more than that. Now that's a lot in a city that didn't have any of those things reliably before. But there's so much more, right? I mean, people, families especially, expect lots more out of the places that they live, and we don't have it. We haven't even talked about months or years here, the condition of the schools in
Nobody wants to
Detroit.
talk about
That seems to be
nobody knows
people have
what to
put that
do.
aside because they're concentrating mostly on turning the lights on and making
That's
sure
right.
the cops show up.
That's right. But you know, ask anyone with kids. You know, what's the first or second thing that you think about when you think about where you're going to live? It's the condition of the local schools. We haven't even begun to really fix that in Detroit. So there's an awful lot of work that's still ahead that doesn't have anything to do with the bankruptcy.
And what bankruptcy fixes is the finances. It wipes away the debt. Doesn't wipe away a culture of mismanagement
Yeah,
in
no,
the
that's
city.
right.
It doesn't wipe away a culture of entitlement. You still have those lingering problems. The people themselves have to fix that, and the political leaders they elect have to fix that. You've got to make the city work for the people instead of for the employees and other special interests.
Have we taken a step forward in the positive direction to make sure that that happens with the leaders that we have?
We'll see when
I think
they
so.
get
We're
charged
still
again.
waiting. I think we're still in the let's wait and see with the new mayor and the new council. I think there's some encouraging signs in terms of the decision making that's going on, the prioritization that I think he's brought to City Hall in terms of what's important, what do we got to focus on. But it'll be a couple months, I think, before we can say this is making a difference or it's not.
All right. Moving on now to our schools and a report out this month on the state of education in Michigan. It was done by Education Trust Midwest, which is a nonpartisan research and policy organization that tracks student learning here in Michigan. Now, there are some tough numbers here. We are one of only 6 states that actually posted learning losses in overall student performance in 4th grade reading since 2003. The state's rank on the national assessment has fallen in the past 10 years in 4th and 8th grade math and reading, but this trend just doesn't affect public schools in low-income urban areas. 10 years ago, Michigan's higher-income students ranked above the national average in 4th grade reading and math and 8th grade reading. Today, in those same subjects, Michigan students rank 38th, 32nd, 31st, respectively. Across all groups of students, white, African-American, Latino, low-income, higher-income, Michigan's student achievement rank has fallen in the last decade. And you can head to MiWeek.org for a link to this entire report. So what is happening to change some of these numbers? I mean, when you look at all of those statistics and you kind of crunch them together, it's not very encouraging.
Not enough is happening to change them yet. And if you look at this report, you see states like Tennessee and Florida who were 10 years ahead of us in terms of implementing reforms. We were talking about reforms, fighting about reforms, while they were putting good, solid classroom reforms in place. We still don't know what we want our education system to look like. We've got a dozen different models floating around, and that's good in a certain extent. The parents have choice, but we still haven't settled on what will work. Meanwhile, in Tennessee, they've already established student assessments, teacher evaluation and training, consequences for not progressing. In Michigan, we put some basic reforms in on tenure a year or two ago. Half the school districts still haven't implemented them.
You know, I think reform means many different things to many different people, though, Stephen.
It does, and that's part of the problem with education is that we end up fighting about definitions and political points of view rather than talking about what works in classrooms. In the states that have rocketed ahead while we were lagging, they have been able to get past all of those issues. Florida is a great example. Jeb Bush, not a governor that I had an awful lot of agreement with on a lot of issues, but on this one, I mean, he was absolutely right to push for what he did he got Republicans and Democrats together to support these changes. Tennessee is another state that has made remarkable progress, but then you can look at states in the Northeast, Maryland and Massachusetts, which lead the nation in the way they manage these things, are also states that have overcome the traditional obstacles to get that stuff into place. I mean, I saw it in Maryland. I watched that unfold as a Republican school superintendent, state superintendent, work with Democratic governors to figure it all out. We just can't do it.
So what's going on in Lansing right now? Because they're talking about some funding and some projects right now. What kind of decisions do they have to make, though?
They're still trying to figure out whether to put the teacher evaluation model in place that the University of Michigan and others developed for them. It's a good model. But this is what happens here. Good reforms are proposed, good people put together plans and proposals, and the legislature goes up there, fights about them, waters them down. The MEA gets involved, and all of a sudden we're talking about something other than what's best for the kids. We still spend a lot of time in Lansing talking about what's best for adults and the people who have their hands in the system. These other places have united behind pushing their kids ahead.
So who is the leader of uniting that front? Where does that come from? Does that come from the governor? Does that come from the state superintendent? Does that come from larger districts that band together? Or where do we then see that leadership come from?
I think in other states what you would see is that there is a stronger partnership between the governor and the state superintendent than we have seen here in the last decade. I mean, Superintendent Flanagan is strong in some ways, but has not been able to forge the kind of...
Well, because he doesn't work for the governor, and it's
well,
the
that's
structure
also
here.
true, right. The structure
we
doesn't
really
work.
need a constitutional change. The state school superintendent should work for the governor. There should be that
report
level
to
of
the-
accountability.
right.
Instead, he appoints to an elected state school board that is wholly in the pocket
Yeah.
of the unions, of the education unions. That's why this doesn't work. That's why we have so much struggle getting ahead. We need to wipe out that elected board, have a state superintendent who appoints for the governor, is appointed by the governor, and the governor is accountable for his performance.
Well, I know that a lot of parents and teachers will be watching what happens and what decisions are being made in the next couple of weeks. Finally tonight, the headline that we were so proud to see this week. Go ahead and take a look. Stephen Henderson on the front page of the Detroit Free Press as the 2014 Pulitzer Prize winner for commentary. The prize committee said his columns were, quote, written with a passion and a stirring sense of place, sparing no one in their critique. We couldn't be more happy that Stephen has been recognized for what we've known for years. He's a vital voice for Detroit and our entire state, and an outstanding journalist. So you have to tell us exactly what you were thinking in that picture right there.
That picture?
Yeah.
I still was trying to process the whole thing. Right? Like, how did this happen? I think everyone aspires to think, well, maybe one day I could win a Pulitzer Prize, and you just never think it will happen. It's sort of like a lightning strike. It's not just doing good work. It's getting lucky in some ways and having the right sort of perfect storm of topic and circumstances. And
Well, that's why we love you too, because you're so darn humble. Just saying that you're a little bit lucky. But there is a collection of 10 of your columns, and we have them online at MiWeek.org that people can go back and read. What of them do you think stood out to you, or when you were writing them or constructing them? I mean, this has obviously been a pivotal year for the city of Detroit, and your voice has been an important one. But what stood out in your mind of the 10 that you wrote, saying, you know what, I think I got across exactly what I needed to be saying at this point?
Well, I've said this since I came back to Detroit in 2007. I mean, I came back to Detroit because, I'm a native and a very strong advocate for Detroit and Michigan in a way that I couldn't be somewhere else. And so my work here means more to me than it could anywhere else, and I think by extension then it can mean more to readers. I mean, I think the connection that I'm able to build with people here, I think over and over about the stuff that I've written about streetlights, which I've sort of banged on for a couple of years. That's a very common, that's something that everybody in the city of Detroit can relate to.
That was what was special about this body of work here. It was written by a guy with passion and compassion for the city, but also a guy who lives every day its issues. You wrote about his experiences with these things, not as an outsider writing about, oh, those poor people are suffering this.
Yeah, and I said when I left Washington, that was why I was coming here. I was going home to do work that I thought would be meaningful, and this is a great way to celebrate that.
Yeah, it is a celebration. I think it's also an important thing to point out that commentary is still so very important, and I think it touches,
Feeds me
doesn't
and
it, guys?
Nolan.
There you go.
It's
But what I'm saying is, it still has a very large place. Newspaper commentary does wherever you live in the state about what's happening. I think in your hometown, wouldn't you say?
I think it has a bigger role than it ever has, and unfortunately, too many newspapers are diminishing that role as
Or
we make their
abandoning it,
cutbacks.
yeah.
You have newspapers now in the country without editorial pages.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it helps bring perspectives. It certainly gives the paper a voice and a stake in the community, but I believe it's also what readers are looking for today. They get bits and pieces of news from so many places. They're looking for perspective. And you know, they're looking for a perspective they agree with, that they don't agree with. They want to be challenged, they want to be affirmed, and I think that's the role of newspaper commentary.
And I would say two things. One, here, having Nolan upstairs from me at a different newspaper, coming from a different perspective, is an enormous part of what makes me able to do my job, I think, at the level I am. There is not another city this size in America that still maintains that. I say that readers here are far better served by that, but also just the work that everybody in this town did, every journalist in this town did over the last year on this bankruptcy has been phenomenal. I feel like we are in the golden age of Detroit journalism right now. Now, I'm not just saying that about the Free Press, also the Detroit News, DPTV, WDT, all kinds of partners have just really stepped up. And I'm being singled out, but I really feel like I am one small sliver of a much larger picture of excellence.
Well, congratulations. Couldn't happen to a greater guy.
Thanks.
All right. Applause to you. And that is going to do it for My Week. Thanks so much for joining us. Check out MiWeek.org for Stephen's Pulitzer Prize winning columns from the last year so you can read them all again. We are also on Facebook. Friend us. Follow us on Twitter. We are always talking during the week, not just on Thursdays. I'm Christy McDonald. Have a great Easter weekend, and we will see you next week from My Week. Take care.
Recently, Michigan's economy has begun to turn around. Michigan's gained over 250,000 new jobs. We've paid off $20 billion in long-term debt. And our population is increasing for the first time in a decade. But to make Michigan a top 10 state, there's still plenty of work to be done. Step up and help put Michigan on top. Learn what you can do at MichiganTurnaroundPlan.com.
Funding is also provided by Delta,